nature to take its course.
ABC's Brian Clark. After an early season snowstorm, an Arctic blast is now moving into parts of the Northeast and Midwest. Cities in Iowa, Missouri, and Wisconsin could hit daily low records this week. Heavy rain on tap for parts of the Deep South, and for the Rockies and other high elevation regions, snow is moving in. Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico could see up to a foot of snow. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Stiff chair makes you sit. An X chair lets you float. Up to an X chair, engineered for better posture and focus. The secret? Patented lumbar support that adjusts instantly. SiFloat Infinite Recline that moves effortlessly with you. X chair is next level ergonomic seating that truly floats. Right now, you can save up to 50% with the X Chair holiday sale. Supplies are limited, so visit xchair.com today for up to 50% off. That's xchair.com.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's Dependable Lock Services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
NASCAR, it's more than just driving fast and turning left. Bob Bianchi and myself, Bob Bartis, are crew members of the NASCAR media. Each week, our live 2-hour broadcast breaks down everything happening in the world of NASCAR. We recap the prior week's race results, preview the upcoming races, and discuss the NASCAR news. If you like racing or fast cars, join us live in the showroom at Allen Mello Dodge every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. or listen, stream, and watch at wsmn.live.
Hi, this is Cody from the Nashua Community Music School, and I want to sing about our season of giving. Through your support, we can continue to provide high-quality private music lessons, music therapy, and music outreach to our community all year long. Our goal is to cadence at $30,000. If each WSMN listener were to only donate $5, we would accelerando to our goal in no time. Help us kick off the fundraise for the holidays by marking your calendars for December 2nd and visiting our website, NashuaCMS.org, or following us on Facebook and Instagram at Nashua CMS, or by giving us a call at 603-881-7030.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Grosvenor.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives. I'm Todd McKinley here in Northeast Tennessee, joined by my co-host, Colonel Chris Wyatt there in Central PA, and John Grosvenor holding down the studio there in Nashua. John, how are you tonight?
Doing well, Todd. Doing well. You know, another fine week of the Common Sense Conservatives. So glad to be here.
Oh yeah, and by the way, look out for people turning right onto East Pearl Street. Apparently, they don't know it's a one way. So
Oh,
found
what
that coming
happened?
in tonight.
Did you get hit or somebody going the
No,
wrong way?
no, I happened to be in the lane over, so I was good. But yeah, I was thinking, I never thought about it before, but they're not well marked as to be in one ways. They just got one little black and white sign that, none of those do not enter signs or anything like that. And so as I was walking back up to the studio, I was looking for it. I go, yeah, right. Yeah, there's no do not enter signs or anything. So I guess I can see how people get confused if they're not from around here.
There you go. Colonel Chris Wyatt. He was out last week at a fundraiser. How did your fundraiser go, Colonel?
Well, it went very well, guys. Thanks. Appreciate you covering for me while I was gone. It was the highest grossing night by a figure of 200% in the entire 5 years I've been a member of this post. We'd never had a night that made that much money. The bar sales were very good for the night, but all of the money that was raised through the Chinese auction, the silent auction, the 50/50s, and the door prizes and all of that, plus the buffet went over very well. We made like over $1,000 off the buffet, if I'm not mistaken. And since people donated almost all the food, that was just money to the post. It really helped out a lot. It'd be nice if we had one weekend a month like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Every VSO across the country would love to have something like that for sure.
Well, when I was in Birmingham, Alabama, those guys make like 40 grand a month off of parking fees, or is it a weekend when football's going on? They make a ton of money because they're right down the street from the University of Alabama, Birmingham basketball arena, and the football stadium is just right past that. So people need a place to park. It's a short distance. They make a ton of money. I would really envious. I wish we could make that kind of money.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we have a post out of Knoxville, Tennessee. So for University of Tennessee games, they go and do the bartending basically. And they make about 50 grand a year just off of just doing that home football games, and that pays off.
Oh, no doubt. The guys in Birmingham have enough money. They're so flush with cash that they sponsor paying for something like 5 or 6 veterans to stay in a local halfway house. They pay like $3,200 a month for those guys that live there. It's amazing. Must be nice to have those kind of resources. We'd certainly kill for it.
Do you happen to rent out the hall when it's not in use, or?
We do, but the number of events is limited. Also, we've had problems with our kitchen and reliability of staff, and so you can rent the place out just to use it, but you get a flat fee for that. But you really make money is if you do banquets, because we can charge a fixed amount for it, and that's really good. But the place has been screwed up with the way it's been run for so long, and we spend so much time running around just trying to keep the heat on, keep the electricity on, and deal with people's misbehavior and stuff like that. That we need someone that's good at what they're doing and spends time on it. And we haven't been able to find that yet. So hopefully we will.
Yeah. I find every veteran service like American Legion or VFW post that has a bar generally has those problems with people want to cause problems and, the troublemakers.
Well, they do. And, the thing that's so frustrating about it is that this is an organization dedicated to veterans. There's survivors, there's spouses and all that. And people want to act like tools, enough. Just stop being a fool. It's, what happens is that these people, they see the VFW and the Legion as their local cheap bar that they get to hang out in. But that's not what the Legion and the VFW are. These are veteran service organizations. They're not there for the canteens. The canteens are just something to help with camaraderie, but instead it causes all kinds of headaches. I had to write an indefinite suspension for someone yesterday who posted something on Facebook. Our manager posted a notice asking for experienced bartenders, and this person was bent out of shape. And the reason this person was bent out of shape is because they had volunteered to do our quiz nights. So we would do it 2 nights a week, and we bring people in and we do the quizzes, and that person volunteered to do it. Next thing I know, without the board's approval, the idiot manager who we fired started paying that woman $500 a week to do it. Well, that cost us $2,000 a month, and we're in the hole. And when no one authorized that, we didn't know it. We're like, what's this expense? Oh, that's for quiz night. What do you mean for quiz night? We should be making money. We're not paying for that. Anyway, it's just, and that person, after the money was turned off, when the announcement was made, went on our Facebook page, a veterans page on Facebook, and put down, don't bother. These people hate their employees and treat their employees like crap, and yada, 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 and a bunch of other stuff, and their members and so you know what? That person just got an indefinite suspension. And you know what's worse? It's the spouse of a veteran.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had to suspend a post, and we'll get to the good technical stuff here in a second, but we had to suspend a post that they were doing illegal gambling and stuff like that, and you have people that just attack me because, they were doing wrong, but they want to attack me for shutting them down, It's like, come on, get over yourselves.
Yeah, I get this all the time, well, who are you? Well, there are rules, and no one's ever enforced them. It's not my fault that you got away with this crap forever. There's one reason why nobody comes in here anymore, because people like you.
Bingo. Exactly. Yeah, it destroys it post. Here in Tennessee, we had a special election yesterday, and Democrats, this is from Fox News, Democrats surge in Tennessee, throws new uncertainty on the GOP's 2026 House map. In district, Trump carried 22 points. Republican Matt Van Epps won by 9 points yesterday. And it says, I'll give you the first paragraph here. The results from the hotly contested special election in Tennessee's 7th Congressional are in handing a decisive victory to the Republican. That both Republicans and Democrats are drawing political ammunition from the outcome. President Donald Trump proclaimed it was a great night for the Republican Party after GOP nominee Matt Van Epps defeated Democrat rival Afton Ben in the high-stakes race to succeed former GOP Representative Mark Green, who resigned from office in June to take a private sector job. And of course, people are saying that, this is, the Republicans are underperforming, Democrats are overperforming. I think it's a special election issue where a lot of Republicans and conservatives don't show up for special elections. I think it's sad, but it's one of those deals, though.
It's just utter nonsense. I mean, they've been trying to play this game ever since November elections. I mean, listen to this nonsense. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Trump is unpopular. The Democrats surged to big victories in California with a proposition, in New York City, in New Jersey, in Northern Virginia. I'm sorry. These are Democratic strongholds. Yeah. And if they didn't get 55% or more, that would be a story. But they tried to play this up and people fell for it. Oh, look. They're close. They might win in New Jersey. They might win in Virginia. Now, look, Virginia's full of Democrats who are racist. They'll never vote for a black woman.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And they happen to be Democrats, though, right?
Well, of course, that's the Democrats who will never vote for a black woman. No, look, it's just utter nonsense. The whole thing. They're just talking stuff up. There's nothing to it. And in this case, I mean, it was a runaway election. He won by 9 points. I mean, that's not even close. Not even close. So, I mean, they try to pretend like, this is and here, Trump guy who won by 22. It doesn't matter what Trump won by. That was a presidential election when people show up. This was an off-year special election in which nobody turns out for this thing. And even if they did, congressional candidates typically, with exceptions, do worse than the presidential candidate. The president has to drag a lot of them on his coattails to get in office when he comes in office, whichever president is. So these people are just frauds, man. These media outlets are nothing but total frauds. And it gets really, really obnoxious and old after some point.
Absolutely. So the DOD IG finds Hegseth's use of signal for the Houthi trust strike planning risked harm to U.S. mission and pilot, source says. And I'm sure the colonel probably knows a little bit more about the use of signal during this raid. I just want to get your thoughts on the fact that they used it. And of course, obviously we know about it because it was sent to a member of the media, I believe, right?
Yes, it was. Somehow somebody put the media on there. All right, my take on it, Hegseth is completely wrong. I mean, if this was a service member, they'd be getting an Article 15 right now for compromising the mission. I mean, this could have cost people their lives. This is beyond stupid on the part of Pete Hegseth. And he has his family on there. What the hell does his family have the right to? They have no business knowing about attacks. They're not read on. They don't have a clearance. I mean, if you got a clearance and you're talking to your spouse about your secret stuff, you shouldn't have a clearance. Right. You should keep your mouth shut. That's none of their damn business. I deployed to Israel back in 1992, and I didn't tell anybody about this, but I had all these people come to my office, and I go to the PX, and these spouses would be like, "Hey, so I hear my husband's going on that mission with you." What mission? Well, the one in Israel. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. People running their mouths. Right. Loose lips sink ships. And Hegseth needs to be censured for this. He needs to be admonished. He needs to be punished. But Trump's not going to punish him. This is beyond the pale, irresponsible. Look, we get upset about Hillary Clinton stealing classified information, and then look, they want to quibble. Well, he has the right to declassify. Yes, he does have the right to classify certain things, but he has no right to use an unsponsored, unsanctioned, unapproved, insecure, and I don't want to hear that it's encrypted. We can break anything. I worked at NSA. Right. Don't even try that crap. Signal is not an authorized application. And if it was, when I worked at NSA during the Gulf War, I had to carry a darn Motorola that had encryption on it. And the damn thing ran my battery down so quickly because it runs all the time, the encryption, constantly running through ciphers. I had to do that. And I was just doing contracting, but it was during a time of war, but they didn't want anything to get out. So, this is, I'm sorry, Pete Hegseth is reprehensible. And they're right. And here's the worst part. He didn't even sit down to be interviewed. That says a lot to me. Either it's disdain for the inspector general process, or he thinks it is above the law. In either
Right.
case, it's not a good look. So Pete Hegseth is wrong on this, and he deserves to be pillared for it. But we shouldn't spend too much time on it. We got bigger fish to fry. But the bottom line is he shouldn't get a free pass on this because it's unacceptable. If one of my soldiers did this, they'd be getting chaptered out or they'd be getting Article 15 right now.
Right, absolutely. So apparently, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro unleashed on former Vice President Kamala Harris during an interview published Wednesday, claiming that the Democrat nominee for president wrote about him in her book was utter bullstein, as John would put it. This is according to Fox News. I love it. Democrats are calling out their own now. I guess since Kamala's, has no future in public politics at this point, right?
Yep.
So it's okay to call her out now. She's done. We can call her out.
I don't think she had a future before. It was all a fluke.
No, she didn't. There's something, had the Democrat, president had half a brain, it would have been a different story for her. But obviously his brain was damaged, right?
Yeah.
Joe Biden. I mean, come on.
Well,
what are they now starting to talk about it? They're starting to come out a little bit. Well, yeah, he's showing signs. It's like, yeah, he was showing signs a long time ago.
Right.
Guys.
You knew about it. But I love this book that Kamala wrote, and thinks that people are just going to, it's going to save her political career moving forward. It's going to rescue her. Now the Democrats are actually calling her out on it. I love it. They're calling out lies. It's blatant lies. I love it.
Well, that's what it is. Definitely lies. Nothing but that.
Absolutely. So the California Lutheran University trying to set up a Turning Point USA chapter has been denied a secret ballot vote of 2 to 11 to 1 abstention, according to the Associated Press. Apparently not going to be able to have a Turning Point chapter there because people are too afraid to vote publicly and stand on their own merit, I guess, of their vote. Secret vote to deny a Turning Point USA chapter at a Lutheran university. I don't kind of understand that.
Well, it's because they're frauds. They're not really Lutheran universities.
Yeah, that's kind of just threw me for of course it's in California though, just so you know.
Well, Georgetown is also a fraudulent Jesuit school.
That's true, yeah.
They pull that crap and try to play these games. Like these people hide behind religion. Look at the Episcopal Church. Oh, they're happy to bring people all over the world who don't share our values in this country, who don't have any interest in our mores and our values and norms. And we see what some of them actually do, the behavior they have. And so they're happy to bring them over here because they're making money and pretend that they're loving and caring. They're people of faith, Episcopal Church, but they're nothing but a bunch of racists. As soon as Trump suspends the program, and they're money grubbers because, he's only letting white South Africans come over here. We supported Archbishop Desmond Tutu during apartheid. Hey, that was 30 years ago. The people are coming over. Most of them are under the age of 30. They're born under the ANC. They had nothing to do with apartheid. So why are you such a racist? You didn't have a problem bringing 300,000 Ukrainians here for 3 years and dumping them in our neighborhoods. They're white last time I checked. So look, these organizations, you have to take a close look at them because so many of them are fraudulent. They all have a purpose, and the purpose isn't their stated purpose. The purpose of Episcopal Church bringing refugees over here is not because they're loving people who care about the downtrodden. They're money-grubbing bastards who want money, and that's what it's all about. When the money was turned off, they used the excuse and used their stupidity and their ignorance to complain about white racists. Because they're the racists. Look, I mean, I'm sick of these bigots in these organizations. I mean, we have all kinds of them in America. The American Criminal Liberties Union, the Southern Poverty Law Center. These are just fraudulent organizations that grift money to attack mainstream America. And you know what? I'm glad Trump's president now. You know what? Pour it on, buddy. Cut them all off. Send them all home. Get it. Get them out. Get it done. Get it done.
Right. Absolutely. So what is your thoughts on, from a military standpoint, of the strikes in Venezuela on some of these little boats that they have down there? What's your take on that?
Number one, the strikes are not in Venezuela, so let's be clear, they're international waters.
International waters, correct.
No, but that's the press is running with that narrative. So every single strike has been in international waters, and so it's a different topic altogether. I'm not a fan of it. Why aren't we doing boarding operations? That's what I mean, rather than blow them up. He's trying to send a message, but all it's doing is clouding the waters. But you know what? Even if he did legitimate boarding operations, which is under international law of the sea, is allowed. Even if we were doing that at sea, they would still come up with something complete, and then we'd have these people in our hands, and they'd be martyrs. So that's probably why they just started taking them out. I'm not thrilled with it, but I'm a little more concerned about Trump's announcement yesterday in the cabinet meeting that we will now start striking targets on land. Now we're hitting someone's sovereignty. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Well, where do you think it goes if we do hit targets, say just on the beach or shore or somewhere in like a harbor somewhere?
No, I think we're going to hit drug manufacturing facilities in Colombia and in Venezuela.
Yeah, he's going after.
So you're talking about going deep into the country, not just along the borders or just inside the border.
Well, and what I envision seeing is, I mean, we've seen this movie before. It was called Clear and Present Danger with Harrison
Yes,
Ford.
it was. Yes, it was.
That's what I envision seeing a Delta or SEAL Team 6 raid into the jungles of Colombia or Venezuela to take out and blow up a narco terrorist site, and then helos come in and evac them, and then hopefully it's not an off the books operation like we saw in Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah, with the president at the end. Now, Jack, here's what you're going to do. You're going to put that in your pocket. You're going to go on the lecture circuit. Yeah, basically trying to love it. And that's how it goes on behind the scenes there in Washington.
I have
you're going to
no
go
doubt
write
that's
a book.
true.
You know, you're going to go make $100,000 on the lecture circuit and all this. Yeah, Mr. President, we're going to expose you. That's what we're going to do. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that under the what is it? The authorization for use of military force allows Trump to declare people as terrorists. He's got so many days to submit that and to Congress. So that's what he's done. It seems to me he's following protocols when he's doing this. Also, Chris, those boats that you're talking about weren't under states. They weren't under what's it? They're stateless when they're not flying their flag. Therefore, they don't fall under the sovereignty of their state if they're not flying their flag. Doesn't that give certain leeway?
Well, it's true that if they're not flying a flag, then they put themselves in a position, but it doesn't change the fact that that they have to meet certain conditions to be attacking these things. I mean, you can attack pirates. That's self-defense. There's no self-defense here. So, look, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not gonna parse language about it. My only point here is that I just expressed. He asked my thought on it, my concern, because I'm not arguing that it's not allowed or illegal, or even that I'm against it. And I'm not making that argument either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just stating that there's concerns here, particularly when we start talking about going on land, because now we're violating country's sovereignty.
He's definitely entered a gray area. It's not, it's unprecedented. So, and you're right. If you go,
I wouldn't say it's unprecedented. We've attacked a lot of countries in the 30s and 40s in Latin America. It became our modus operandi. We invaded countries in these little banana republics. So it's just in the living memory of people. It's kind of unprecedented.
Yeah. There you go. That's a better way to word it.
Absolutely, for sure. So what's going on in your neck of the woods there, Colonel, that you want to talk about tonight? Anything in particular?
Well, I mean, that you kind of hit on things I want to hit on tonight. There's a few other, but nothing here in Pennsylvania. I mean, there's nothing really. But do you know that Arizona is suing Temu, the Chinese company, for stealing their trademarks and ripoffs and fakes, and also collecting data illegally in violation of the Consumer Protection Act. So that should be interesting. We'll see what happens there. Beyond that, they're still making hay about Epstein. They're desperately trying. The leftist outlets, I saw The Guardian and several newspapers released news stories about the Democrats releasing photographs of Epstein's house. Who cares? I mean, and by the way, it's tacky. I saw the pictures. It's really lame. If you got this kind of money and you live like this, you've got no class.
I mean, I've seen videos that claim to be from his island, people just walking around vacant buildings and stuff like that. I'm like, what's the point of the videos? There's nothing there. It's just empty rooms and buildings. There's no evidence there whatsoever that's going to convict anybody of anything. It's empty. It's an island.
No, I'm with you. And the big news this week, really, guys, is that all the immigration and all the temporary protected status and all those changes. So if you want, I'll run through some of the things that have happened where Trump is literally shutting the door, John, shutting the door on people coming to this country. So here we go. Temporary protected status. There are 1.2 million people living here in temporary protected status. This is a situation where we let people in the country who aren't refugees, or we don't give them refugee status, and we say, look, it's too dangerous for you to go home, so we're going to protect you. TPS. Unlike TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, it's close. Mm-hmm. But of that 1.2 million, 606,000 are Venezuelan nationals, half of them. But this past week, remember, he mentioned he did a thing famously about Somalia because of all the fraud. And he says, I am going to stop TPS for Somalis in Minnesota. Yeah, well, there's maybe 705 Somalis total in the state of Minnesota that have TPS. So it's not going to have major impact. But he has suspended for Sudan and a bunch of other countries. Then he announced there'll be no immigration visas processed for any of the 19 countries on the watch list, which includes 10 African countries. In addition to that, Kristi Noem came out very hard saying, we just want to stop all these dirtbags and criminals. Literally, that's almost what she said, coming into our country. And on top of that, they did the unprecedented step of saying the 233,000 refugees who came over through the refugee program under the Immigration Nationality Act 1980 during the Biden regime, every one of their cases is going to be reviewed for fraud. And that's going to take a long time. I hope that they focus on a certain number of them, starting with Afghanistan, because that's where a lot of the fraud started. But then, they lied to us. Remember, Alejandro Mayorkas and Karine Jean-Pierre and Joe Biden telling us all of these people have been vetted. They've all gone through. I mean, they're getting out of plane. They're falling off the wheels as it taxis down the runway to their death. Who's been vetted? And so they know they lied to us. Now we find out there were 89,000 Afghans who flooded this country in a period of 3 weeks who had no vetting whatsoever. And of that, I did the numbers the other day. Let me see if I can find the numbers here. It's insane. There's all these people with criminal charges against them and all these things about suspicious about what's going on. It's absolutely insane what's been going on with these people. So let me see here. I've got the numbers here. So of that 76,000 number, that I was talking about 89,000, but it's 76,000 in this group. 6,868 were flagged for derogatory information. So in other words, there's a problem with them. They're either pedos, rapists, murderers, or criminals or thieves, or there's something dodgy.
Right.
So that is about 9%. Another 5,000 were flagged, 5,005 for national security reasons. So now we're up to 12,000. 876 were flagged for fraud. They committed fraud that we know about. And 956 flagged for public safety. That's 13,000 of 76,000 who weren't vetted. We already know we have a problem with. Imagine what's going to happen with the rest of them. Oh, but these are good people. They helped us. I'm sorry, Homer. That doesn't work. So 233,000 refugee cases, all going to be reviewed, and every one of those people could be kicked out of the country. Now, the odds are a lot of them won't be kicked out because vetting was done properly if people come from the Congo or elsewhere, Myanmar. So, but still, that's unprecedented. He stopped all asylum case processing because the system is broke. That's completely foul. We have 2.3 million asylum seekers in America. And given that 95 to 97% of asylum cases are fraudulent, that means over 2 million aliens are in this country who have no business being here. Let's get them out, kick them out. Let's speed up these cases. They're hiring a bunch of attorneys, paying as much as $180,000 a year for people with either judge or a lawyer or attorney experience to be these immigration judges. And frankly, they don't have to hire attorneys. Just hire reasonable people. You don't have to be a judge or an attorney to be an immigration judge. So they're trying to accelerate that. And it just goes on and on, So basically, they set the cap of 7,500 refugees for this year from the world, and they claim about 7,000 that for South Africans. So this is a stark contrast. Not just that, if you look at the border crossings, the ones we catch, the number of people being caught at the border that are illegally entering is dropped to a trickle. And I say trickle, it's the lowest it's been in living memory. It hasn't been this low since Desi and Lucy were on TV,
Lucy, I have something to say to you.
Yeah.
So
our
I
favorite Cuban.
know we didn't mention the shooting of 2 National Guard, soldiers, of Andrew Wolf and Sarah Beckstrom, shot by Ramallah Lackenwall, who's, I guess has been indicted at this point. A terrorist, for crying out loud, we've allowed into our country. And you just talked about some ways that we can hopefully mitigate that. We're not going to eliminate everybody for sure, but mitigate that in a long way. With some of the stuff you just talked about, would it have kept this individual out of the country, or would have at least investigated him, or what would it have done with this guy?
In this case, it's very hard to make the claim that it would have made a difference. Because supposedly he worked for the CIA for a number of years, and if he's working with the CIA, but I'm hearing the problem is you're hearing rumor and innuendo. I don't have the facts. We're hearing rumor that he actually led the CIA and the military into ambushes. But I mean, if that had been happening, you think we'd have been smart enough to pick up on that at some point. But he did it for years. So in this case, I don't know that would have solved the problem. But the bottom line is this people from the Stone Age, they have no business here. Electricity. Wow. Oh my. Yeah. People aren't forced to be Muslims. We can't have that. I mean, it's Stone Age people. Now, people are going to say you're xenophobe and bigot. No, I'm not. There's proper Afghans who are willing to come here. They can be Muslims. They can practice their faith. They don't try to impose Sharia on us. They don't try to change the cultural mores and norms. They add to our kaleidoscope. But it's a small number. Most of those people just flooded in here because there's total chaos and no control. They were busy getting 13 service members killed in the rush to get people out of there rather than provide proper security in Kabul, because we had an idiot, demented lunatic who was the president who didn't even sign his pardons. By the way, that's big news too. We'll get to that shortly. Trump has just abrogated all of the executive orders that were signed by the Autopen. Let's see how, but we're going to talk about that shortly. But look, this Afghan thing it's not just that, but the Afghan thing is out of control. In this guy's case, I don't know what would have made a difference, but I never would have brought him over here.
Right. Yeah, you would have probably had many red flags right off the bat on this guy for sure. If he's harboring those feelings, something would have come out at some point.
Right. I mean, people are good at hiding things, but not that good, and not everybody,
Right. Yeah, because I remember we've had interpreters over the years that let stuff. Sorry, slip out.
Were you talking about a shirt?
A shirt slip out. Yeah, the shirt slip out. And you have to go report that. It's like, yeah, he said this and this and this. So next thing you know, they're gone pretty quickly.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's. I mean, what are you going to say about this? It's really, really, really tragic what happened here, and
Right.
it was targeted. It is clearly an act of terrorism. He hunted them, and a lot of people. There was some criticism. People watching the video because a passerby, happened to hold a phone up as they drove by, and like, what are these soldiers running away? They weren't running away. They were moving, communicating, and getting to different firing positions because they were caught in an ambush. You either return fire and drive through the ambush, which is impossible in a city street, or you pull back and you adjust. And that's what they were doing. I thought their fire techniques, from what I could see in that little bit of video, were really good. But this guy walked up and shot them on the ground. We don't know the nature of the staff sergeant a lot. But I have a bad feeling he was shot in the head, because the guy shot him. He went down, he came up and fired another shot. And what do they usually do? That's what they're going to do. So I don't know what the nature of her injuries are, but I do remember as she was lying, dying, her father was there, and he said, she's not going to make it. We're here to be with her. This is horrific. This is exactly what Trump said needed to happen. I was interviewed this week by someone in South Africa who I had a decent interview with, but he wanted to push back on the use of the military in the cities. And I said, it's perfectly legitimate and legal. Posse comitatus doesn't apply here. It's the National Guard, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, yeah, but this is America. We don't expect to see that. I said, well, you know what? If the Democrats hadn't run this country in the dumpster, we wouldn't be having this problem. Yes, but all of the military being deployed in cities controlled by Democrats. I'm like, well, have you looked at our major metropolitan areas? Every single major metropolitan area in this country, without fail, is run by Democrats, and most of them are nothing but basket cases. If you look at Detroit and Chicago, and they've been run by Democrats for decades. I mean, I don't think a Republican's run Chicago since 1930s. I could be wrong on that, but it's been a long time. And so these people have destroyed these places. They're soft on crime. They're namby-pamby nonsense. This is what gets people killed. And this is ridiculous. And they run around, like during the Bush mission, the federal government is giving armored cars and military hardware to the police. And then they spent a decade disarming the police. And now we have, the OK Corral, people just shooting people in the streets in Philadelphia, in Chester, in D.C., in Southeast D.C., in Anacostia, in Chicago, the South Side of Chicago. Hey, look, I know where this happens. You know why? Because I've been there. But the people that have never been there run their mouths. They never dodged bullets in Anacostia. I've been down there when the gunfires went off. Anyway, stupid people should wear signs, man.
I mean, right over near where building 399 is, White House Communication, just outside there. You get pop shots all the time. Yeah.
Yep. Well, you worked the same facility I was at. You were at bowling. I used to run. Isn't it ironic? I like this. It was Chris Rock who said this. How come it's always the most dangerous town and a street in the town is always named MLK Boulevard?
Right, it's right near there. Over in
it goes right out the gate of Bowling Air Force Base, goes up this steep hill, and in order to get a good hard run in, and then coming back, it's relaxing because I'm going downhill. I would always run up MLK, and I'm gonna tell you what, man, that's a couple times. I took my life in my own hands doing that. A little crazy around there.
Well, I've got to ask.
You get a good running when you feel like you're running for your life.
Well, that's a good point.
This is like reminds me of being back in Somalia. Oh, run!
Exactly. Oh, run, Forrest, run!
Yep. So I got to ask you. So now you're talking about the Somalis and immigration, and all this. Have you seen the videos of them talking about they prefer Sharia law than U.S. law and the Constitution? They did man on the street interviews in Minnesota.
You know what I prefer? Deportations.
I do too. That's what they should have done immediately. All right, let's get this guy out of here. Roll him up. Yep. We're going to take you back to Sharia law, buddy. We've got you hooked up over here. Not a problem.
Yeah, there's a place in the world for that, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It's called the country you came from.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just,
It's like liberals, they like to leave a liberal state, go to a fine conservative state, but they want to bring their laws with them. What are you doing? You had it, you had what you wanted there. You should just stayed there.
Right.
And then they struggle, but it's too expensive to live. Well, I wonder why.
There's a reason for that. When you have 7 different blends of gasoline mandated by corrupt officials in Sacramento, this is what happens. I moved from Iowa in 1997. Excuse me. I moved from Iowa in 97. Wait, when did No, I'm sorry. I was in Iowa in 99 because I came back to the States. I'm sorry. I moved from Italy in 99 to California. I stopped in Iowa, which is where I used to be stationed at Iowa State. Iowa has low gas prices because they don't have all these stupid regulations. I think I paid like $1.89 a gallon. I drove across the country to California. I lived in Monterey. Gasoline was $4.85 a gallon for regular, as opposed to $1.89. Do you know why? Because California's stupid emissions and the regulations for all these different blends. You go to a gas station, like, which one am I supposed to use? Like 5 different blends here, All I need is regular and premium. That's all I need. Now, and by the way, today Trump relaxed the cafe standards finally, this idiotic stuff. I think I'll just remove them altogether. That's why we can't get V8s anymore, because of the nonsense these manufacturers have to comply with these ridiculous gasoline standards.
Right.
Look, if I want to spend the money for gasoline to put in my vehicle, that's my choice. I don't want to drive a little car made out of cardboard that, gets flattened by a deer when I hit a deer. It has 3 cylinders in it and 35 horsepower, which is what they want us driving, or electric cars.
You Yugo?
No, that's a Hyundai.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember the Yugo? It was a 3-cylinder. Wasn't it a 3-cylinder car?
No, but the Trabant was a 3-stroke engine. I remember that.
Yeah, you talked about the cafe corporate average fuel economy, but I'm thinking of cafes like going in to get a coffee. Now you can go in and order a regular coffee now, right? It's like 1,000 different things.
Who can afford it? My Frappuccino is $7 in a Starbucks. These people are smoking crack cocaine.
I'm on the got my pot of coffee at home program.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do like my little Keurig, not a problem.
But I like it that way, you make it like you like it. It's not, you're not going to some place and they're inconsistent and some of this watered down coffee, like, wow, this tastes like cream and sugar. Where's the coffee?
I put 2 Splendas in, a little bit of mocha in there, and it's perfect for me.
John, I have no comment. I don't drink coffee. It's an evil substance invented by Satan to enslave mankind. And for those of you who can't handle your morning without your caffeine fix,
that is blasphemy. That is
blasphemy.
I drink mine in the evening, in the afternoon. Sorry.
That is an accurate analysis. You see these people that freak out and they're really difficult to be around when they don't have their coffee in the morning. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I can't cope.
Johnson runs on Dunkin's. I run on coffee.
What's happening in your neck of the woods in New Hampshire there, my friend?
I haven't really looked at anything going on too much. I was looking at something here earlier, things, and it's not a whole lot that I can see going on. I mean, Maggie Goodlander's still running her mouth and not knowing much what she's talking about. That pretty much summarizes it right there.
Pretty standard, right?
Yeah, she's like, she's a smoother version of Jasmine Crockett, I guess. She's seeking attention, but she's not as toxic or vulgar about it.
All right, there you go.
Toxic or vulgar.
Yeah, toxic or vulgar.
That woman's got to go. I hear Jasmine Crockett wants to run for U.S. Senate. Can you imagine?
Oh,
I don't think
horrible.
she's getting out of Texas. I don't think, winning a House seat is one thing, but for her to get the whole state of Texas to vote for her.
No, my goodness. And she's talking about $174,000 is not enough. She has a mortgage and all these bills. I'm like, most every American has the same bills and mortgage you have, and they make a way less than you do. I'm sorry. They make it work. You can make it work.
Yeah, no, I actually saw an interview with what used to be an opposition leader in South Africa today, who was attacked in an op-ed in South Africa. And so the same platform gave him an opportunity to come in for right of rebuttal. And it was comical listening to him. This guy makes over $158,000 a year, which in South Africa is a king's ransom. Trust me, you can live comfortably in South Africa on $30,000 a year. So that's a fortune in South Africa. He's a member of parliament. He's a minister of agriculture. He's got additional money. Anyway, he has all the benefits and perks of the office and stuff. And it was revealed recently that he had failed to pay his credit card bill to the tune of 149,000 Rand, which sounds like a lot, but that's like $8,800. I mean, when I travel, that's a credit card bill for me, unfortunately. But so he had failed to pay it and basically reneged, defaulted on his debt. So he was taken to court and had a judgment against him. This is the leader of a political party. By the way, he has 0 assets. He's 49 years old, has no money in the bank, no stocks, no bonds, doesn't own a house, doesn't own anything. Something fishy going on there. And the guy's answering questions and he says, well, I think it's nobody's business, those people that, their finance. I'm like, hey, dude, you just don't get it. You're open to public scrutiny. How are people supposed to trust you as knowing what you're doing when you can't even manage your checkbook and you can't pay your credit card bill? And oh, by the way, his own political party suspended his party card earlier this year.
So he was using a corporate card, if you will, for personal expenses or something, huh?
Well, that's the allegation. That there's no evidence presented to the public as of yet, but the guy who suspended it, who also happens to be a minister that he fired recently, which wasn't wise, said that he was using it for personal expenses, as have others, saying that he was getting takeaway food for it, deliveries and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true, but that isn't the point. The point is that how can I trust a politician who can't balance their checkbook? This was one of the reasons why I can't trust Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She can never pay her credit card bill until she got into Congress. And then she Oh, $174,000 a year is not enough. We have expenses. You know what? Hey, you should get, instead of going to that nail salon, you should get your nails done less often, sweetheart.
She should try being a truck driver in the United States. An over-the-road
she's
truck driver trying to make ends meet,
she's
living
turned
on the
us
road.
down for dates too, apparently, right? So that's another reason we don't like her.
Oh yeah,
that's true. We Republicans all want to date her. My goodness,
yeah, right.
Lord help me. Lord help me on that one.
How many times have you asked, Todd? How many times you've been knocking on her door?
I'm sending emails constantly. It's hourly.
Yeah.
Also, she doesn't answer emails. That's just rude.
So you're our competition. Is that it?
Right. So Trump is facing backlash. We're talking about immigration here, folks. President Donald Trump is facing mounting criticism after referring to Somali immigrants as garbage, singling out Representative Ilhan Omar, a Democrat from Minnesota, who arrived in the United States in 1995 after a family fled Somali's civil war. Trump made the comments during a cabinet meeting Tuesday while discussing the situation in Minnesota under Democrat Governor Tim Walz, who was former Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate last year, as we all know. Of course, this is according to Newsmax. Yeah, I think he's probably smart on it. I'm not saying every immigrant is garbage, but a lot of them are, especially the ones I saw on the man on the street interviews, talking about they'd rather prefer Sharia law and law that's that they have in Somalia versus what they have here in the United States. It's like, get going then. See ya.
What was that? What was that issue about a Somali? I just read this earlier today. I think Somalia had raped a 13-year-old girl. And the excuse they gave was, well, he hasn't been in the country long enough to really adapt to our customs and assimilate. It's like, wait a minute, he raped a 13-year-old girl, and you say that's the excuses because it's common in Somalia? Kick him back out.
That is an excuse that. So a German woman was sentenced to 3 years in a federal penitentiary in Germany because she protested because convicted rapists who raped German teenagers and preteens were set free by the female judge saying, well, they didn't understand our laws. It doesn't matter whether they understand the law. You can't have intercourse with a 12 and 13-year-old child. And she got a 3-year prison sentence, a German citizen, because she protested on social media. That's a country that's gone. France is gone. Wow. Germany's gone. The UK is gone. Yeah. And they're all gone. These are corrupt places where they prey upon their own citizens for exercise of freedom of speech if they dare say anything about criminal acts by criminals, because they're Muslims and they call it racist. But Islam is not a race. It's a religion.
Right.
It can be bigotry, but it can't be racist. And that's how stupid this is. But
it's like that guy from England who come to the United States.
Tommy Robertson.
Well, the guy who got the chance to fire a gun and he took a picture and put it on social media when he got home in England. The police come knocking on his door and informed him you need to take in consideration other people's feelings. And then later on, he was arrested for it. And I think he spent 13 months trying to fight it. All because he made a social media post of shooting a gun in the United States.
Well, there was a guy who was in South Africa recently who was hunting, and he posted a thing on LinkedIn or something like that, a photograph of him with a rifle, and he goes back to UK and he was detained. I don't know the status of that case, but I mean, this is insanity. That's insanity.
How dare he go to another country and enjoy their customs and
where it's legal.
And legally enjoy their customs?
Right.
Right. These people are out of control. They need to be smacked down and quickly.
Right. And people that, who's listening to this, I mean, this could easily happen in the U.S. So if you allow the certain party to gain control, it will go that way for sure.
And in certain regards, it has happened. We've seen our own government work against us and violate our right to free speech, working with social media, basically manipulating and forcing social media platforms to shut us down.
That's 100% correct. That's where I was going next, and you beat me to it there, John. I mean,
we saw this.
No, it's good. I'm glad we've already lived this nonsense. It's already happened here. It's really frightening how these people get out of control, and that's what they want to do. They want to shut people down, and they crush free speech. I mean, where are the indictments for the White House staff, for the National Institutes of Health, for the CDC, for Dr. Fraud? I mean, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Blixen and Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre and all these people who colluded, cajoled, coerced tech companies to violate First Amendment. These are sacrosanct natural rights. These people belong in prison. You don't even need a trial. We'll give them a trial, but they don't need a trial. I know their guilt. They stood up there and lied to us, and they interfered. We have the proof. The Twitter files exposed it. What if we ever get the YouTube files or the other files like Facebook? Man, these people are going to prison, and that's where they belong.
They are passing laws all the time that violate a constitutional rights. The Supreme
Well,
Court
that
has
too.
to overrule those. And when they overrule those, they do not remove those laws from the books. They keep them there. So, and essentially, they're basically holding them like a threat for those that are not in the know. So they think that it's a law that they can't exercise their own right, whatever it is, like firearms laws that have been overruled, but they're still there. The laws are still there, and they're still declared as laws, even though they're not enforceable. So essentially, they're violating our rights in many different ways.
Well, it's hard to argue with the facts. You got the facts right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's easier to control people the more things you keep on the books, especially obscure things. It's like, oh, I could get you on a technicality on something that's really minor that you would never think about. You know, you didn't look, you looked left, right, but before you cross the street, but you're supposed to look back to the left. Oh, that's a little code that we got you on. You know, somebody could get you on that. I mean, there's so much nonsense, right?
Well, I mean, right now,
I just made something up, but you know,
right now there are 19 bills in the House. Maybe the House Senate, but the House that are aimed at censoring children's access to the internet in the name of safety. I'm sorry. Isn't that what parents are for? Shouldn't parents have that responsibility? Who is the state to tell me my child can't become proficient at technology and become an expert in it so that they make tons of money when they come of age? You know, what right do they have? So these kids are not supposed to touch computers until they're out of high school. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But Australia's already done it, and now other ones are trying to do it. You know, and we got 19 bills, and Congress is trying to suspend liberty. And the only reason it hasn't gone forward so far is there's a few speech advocates going, wait a second, you can't do this. This is free speech. Yeah, but the kids, you know, but learn how to let parents empowering parents.
When you say that, it reminds me of Raleigh James years ago. She used to say it all the time. They say it's for the children. It's always for the children, but they use it as leverage to force us to agree to things that we normally wouldn't agree to. And in this regard, they're going to say, well, we have to protect our children on the internet. They're claiming that they own our children. They always like to say, you know, children belong to the state, not to the parent, which is wrong.
Well, it takes a village.
Parental rights is an actual thing. They are your children. They are your custodial, your job to keep them and raise them for their own greater good. But they so what you're talking about is digital ID, right? So they want us all to get digital ID so they can track us on the internet, but they're going to say it's to protect children, to make sure that they're adults accessing certain sites.
Well, and then they want to limit the sites adults can access. We already had this deal between credit card companies and banks trying to limit, you know, some of the adult sites years ago, and a lot of them went out of business because of that. And they try to do it to gambling sites. You know, look, people need to be adults and take responsibility for their own actions. And if they're parents, they need to parent, not let the television, not let the school parent your kids. You need to be involved in their lives. You need to have control over them. It's not the role of the state to do that. Instead of developing a generation that's moving towards AI and the fourth generation industrial revolution, we are going to keep our kids from accessing these things because it's harmful. Well, not all of it's harmful. A lot of it's very productive and useful.
Right.
You know, but now they're not going to be experts in it because some idiot in Congress thinks they know better.
Yeah, well, of course, because it plays well with what little base that they need to win an election. You know, they'll go back to their districts and they'll be like, okay, what voting block do I need this time to win that nomination or win that election? And that's who they'll play to. And that's probably what this is coming from.
Yeah, it is. No, this is, you know, anyone who claims to be a conservative that supports this garbage is not a conservative. They're certainly not a libertarian. Libertarians believe in the government not being involved in things. And true conservatives also think the government should be constrained. But anytime you start talking about censoring people and taking responsibility away from parents and such, then guess what? You're illegitimate. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. You're illegitimate.
Oh, you got to take it into consideration. These same people that say, hey, you know what? We need to protect our children are the same people who are saying Donald Trump is very, very bad for going after these drug cartels. They're actually trying to protect the drug cartels who are preying on your children. They're trying to feed drugs to your children. They're trying to human traffic your children. They may not be directly your individual child, but they're children within our country or even outside of our country into our country. These people aren't good people. We need to protect our children. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. Let's follow Donald Trump's lead and do it like that because I like that path better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a question about the boats coming out of Venezuela or wherever. What's the range on those boats? How far can they make it? Where do they go from once they leave Venezuela? Where do they go to with their load or whatever?
Apparently all the way to the United States with 4 outboard motors.
That's why they got 4 outboard motors. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
which makes them go very fast. And, they just got to have the fuel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's obviously some fuel on board because they blow up very nicely.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got some large capacity tanks on those things, I'm sure, especially with that many motors.
Right. What's the I wonder what the time is to get across wherever they drop it off at.
Well, it's a lot faster than the cruise ships. I'll tell you that much.
I can tell you too. Those social media posts are correct. I'm not seeing any fishing poles or fishing lines or fishing gear of any type, unless them big blue barrels inside those boats are to hold and contain their fish. But how did they catch them?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, how do we know they're not fishing vessels? It's like, pretty much sure that that's not a fishing vessel. All those drugs crammed in those barrels. I'm sorry.
They may have been fishing vessels once. They cut off the top.
Yeah,
I don't know. I doubt that though. They look
they look
like
high speed.
They look like speedboats, like they used to say.
They're speedboats. Yep.
Absolutely. So a judge is ordering January 6 defendants that were pardoned by Trump to have their money refunded. Those who paid money in for restitution or whatever, they're being ordered to have their money refunded by the government. So that's interesting, according to Fox News. I guess they should, right? If they got pardoned,
if it's a pardon, yes. If it's a commutation, no.
Right. Yeah. Commutation, obviously, that's just you don't finish off out a sentence. You still obviously have been convicted of it. Whenever you're pardoned, it's like it could kind of never happen in a lot of ways. Really, it's not even like an expungement. It's like it never happened completely.
Correct. Yeah, you have no conviction, no charges if that's what you do. Yeah, but as I said, a commutation is different. So.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. We got a few minutes here. We'll go round robin there. John, what do you want to talk about before we end this hour real quick?
Well, let's see. Put a hot mic in front of somebody, ask them a question like that, and his mind goes blank. That's me for you. I became an over-the-road truck driver because every time I got a test, my mind went blank. Test in high school.
Are you trying to tell us that the people that aren't truck drivers aren't that smart? I mean, I don't think that's true.
No, there's a lot of highly intelligent truck drivers. Truck drivers are. Wait about DEI. Truck drivers come from all sorts of breeds and walks of life within the United States, and sometimes not even in the United States.
That's true.
I've seen some well-educated truck drivers. Some of them used to be physicists and stuff like that. I've seen guys that pick it up right, because they're smart. They pick it up right away. You think they had lots and lots of experience. Like, no, man, I've only been driving for 3 years. And then you get some guys out there that just look like they'll never ever be able to back up a truck.
All right.
You said can't back a truck up?
They'll never be able to back up a truck.
Oh yeah, I've seen some people, man, struggle at loading docks, man, just struggle. And then you get somebody from the loading dock jumps in there and just backs it in real quick. Like, there you go, done.
Well, speaking of trucking, Pete Hegseth is going after the trucking schools now because these trucking schools, and this is part of our problem here in the United States with the trucking industry, relatively speaking, for the miles that truck drivers put in, they're safe. They are safe drivers. But one of the major issues we do have within the trucking industry is that we have these truck driving schools that have 2-week programs. They don't teach them the laws. They don't, there is a little green book, we call it, the code of federal regulations. And you should know those, right? If you're going to be in an industry, you're going to be a professional of that industry, you should know the laws that you're working under.
Sure.
So they're not teaching them that in 2 weeks. They're not teaching them how to back up in 2 weeks. They're lucky if they can put it in gear and go forward in 2 weeks. I've actually had people approach me and ask me how to couple or uncouple a tractor and trailer. They should know that before they even got behind the wheel in the first place. They should never have been put behind the wheel until they knew how to. And that is a safety issue within itself. If you ever get a high hook on a truck and lose a high hook is where the kingpin doesn't lock properly and hit a bump and lose that trailer fully loaded or something, it's going to seize up on the interstate and somebody's going to rear end it and die. It's not safe. So, there are a lot of issues with that. So now I think I might say Pete Hegseth and I meant Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy,
transportation.
Right.
So he is going after these trucking schools now. And he told me, says, if you don't get your act together, you're going to lose your license to teach people how to drive. Not that they're teaching them anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you're not teaching them to hook up a trailer or barely to drive forward. Yeah, you're doing everybody on the road a disservice. You're right.
They're doing the students a disservice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 weeks. I'm sorry. That's not enough.
No, 2 weeks. We're talking about 2-week courses.
2 weeks,
We're talking about crash courses here,
Oh, no,
and they're not cheap. You're talking about $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for 2 weeks.
And then just throwing them out on the road, man.
Yeah, so it's a lot of ridiculousness going on out there. It's not just trucking. There's a lot of industries there's a lot of ridiculousness going on. And this is something that we have to have some integrity again. You know what I mean? We have to have some dignity again in our society. We can't just keep throwing people throwing caution to the wind as we do. There are no shortcuts in life.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Colonel.
No, that's exactly right. There are no shortcuts. There's a fixed cost of doing business, and the fixed cost of doing business in the trucking industry is qualified, experienced truckers, not handing out bubblegum vacations. We can't have that. I mean, a truck and an automobile, they're weapons. You can't have people that don't know how to operate them operating them. That's just dumb. Anyway, that's my take on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and next hour, I want to lock in and ask, about the peace process there in Ukraine and get your thoughts on it, Colonel, to see where you think it's going to head. We're going to have a peace deal anytime soon, or what's going on there. Get your thoughts on that, and anything else you guys want to discuss in the next hour. We only got a few minutes here. Also, we'll take anybody's calls that are out there. Last week before Thanksgiving, John and I took some calls. If anybody would like to call in, John, if you can give out the number there before we go to break, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from our audience for sure. We don't have all the answers. We just sit here and pretend like we do, folks. So call in and give us some answers, everybody.
Well, fake it till we make it. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to call in, the phone number is 603-816-1590, just like the call numbers, right? 1590 AM on your AM dial. 603-816-1590.
There we go, folks. Yeah, just give us a call in the next hour to tell us what you did over Thanksgiving. Tell us what you're going to do for Christmas coming up. Just give us your thoughts on anything, really, to be honest with you. We're open. Plus, it helps fill the hour for sure.
It's a panel discussion. We like callers to come in and give their viewpoints, even opposing viewpoints. And it is listed in the description on our social media sites. Truckers Independent Broadcasting will work on Facebook and YouTube. You won't find it on X because they don't allow a description. You also find it at Common Sense Conservatives on Facebook.
There you go. Excellent. There you go, folks. Yeah, you can find us many different ways. And of course, we're live every Wednesday night, 7 to 9 Eastern. We help bring you back to reality from the inverted world that we live in, right? Anyway, about 2 minutes left. Colonel, any final thoughts for the hour?
Well, I think that a lot of attention is going to be focused in the very near future on all this effort by the Trump administration to eliminate the easy path into the country. I mean, they've already spent 8 years calling him a racist. Given the fact that people from all over the world, not just brown or black people, but including white people, come to the country, it doesn't really stick, but they're going to try to push it anyway. And I think we'll see a lot of that. The other thing we're going to see a lot of, and it's not going to go away, is this whole thing about, did Hegseth order the second strike on the speedboat to kill the survivors?
Right.
Because they want to hang him for a war crime. So that's, I don't know that it's a war crime. It's not a war, but maybe an act of crime against humanity, but I don't even think it's that. And he claims he didn't give the order. So we'll see how that develops, but they're not going to let go of that, like a dog with a bone.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, did they have an opportunity to surrender? I mean, I don't know. What was the escalation of force there on the ground? That's interesting.
Indeed.
All right, folks, we'll be right back after this break in just a moment.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Sources telling us that the Pentagon Inspector General has found Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth put U.S. personnel and their mission at risk when he discussed sensitive information about a strike on Yemen in a group chat. In a statement, Hegseth saying he has the power to classify and declassify information, that he was well within his rights to have done so. Law enforcement sources say ICE enforcement operations are underway in Minneapolis at this hour. Earlier, Mayor Jacob Fry signing an order blocking ICE from using city-owned spaces to conduct operations. Care, Minnesota Executive Director Jaylani Hussein.
Part of me says that we are under assault because we exemplify what it is to be an immigrant in this country.
The pilot ejecting safely before an F-16 crashed today during a Thunderbirds training mission over California. A doctor who pleaded guilty to selling ketamine to Matthew Perry in the weeks before the Friend star's overdose death, sentenced to 2.5 years in prison today. This is ABC News. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors has advanced an ordinance that will prohibit law enforcement, including ICE, from wearing face masks while conducting operations. Supervisor Janice Hahn proposed the rule.
This is how authoritarian secret police behaves, not legitimate law enforcement in our democracy.
ICE has defended the use of masks, saying there has been an increase in assaults on agents. Police in League City, Texas, investigating a series of hoax bomb threats called into several businesses.
League City Police say these calls came in over a 48-hour or so time period. They say those hoaxes were made to a Walmart Supercenter, a neighborhood Walmart, a Kroger store, Elite Care, which is an ER hospital, and the VCA Animal Hospital. The department says officers responded to each location, and again, all threats were determined to be hoaxes. No explosive devices were found.
ABC's Brandon Hamilton. Macy's posted a surprise third quarter profit, strongest comparable sales in more than 3 years. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers. Oh, they're here. Hey, who needs something to drink?
we've been overindulging a little more than usual. Thank goodness we both added active liver to our diets to give our livers some much needed support so we have the energy we need to enjoy the holidays.
Active Liver from New Nordic contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract designed to give your liver maximum protection and help it do vital jobs like removing toxins from alcohol, rich foods, and sweets.
Try Active Liver today and enjoy all the holiday treats with the peace of mind of knowing you're giving your liver some relief.
Find Active Liver online at Amazon, Vitacost.com, or iHerb.com. Or pick it up today at CVS, Meijer Grocery, or ShopRite. Enjoy life to the fullest with Active Liver.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
The only thing we have to say is one small step for man.
And the Boston Red Sox are...
This is WSMN's Life for the Day for December 3rd. Happening on this day in 1967, Dr. Christian Bernard performs the first human heart transplant. And in 1989, at a Malta conference, Mikhail Gorbachev and President George Bush declare the Cold War over. Born on this day in 1927, Andy Williams. In 1948, Ozzy Osbourne. Dying on this day in 1994, Robert Louis Stevenson at 44. And in 1999, actress Madeline Kahn. She was 57. And finally, on this day, in 1968, the Grassroots Midnight Confessions is certified gold. It peaks at number 5. And that's WSMN's Life for the Day for December 3rd. I'm Phil King.
Hi, Nashua. I'm Perry Cataldo from Choice Benefit Services, your local insurance agent that has dedicated himself to all the Medicare plans in New Hampshire. Whether you're just turning 65, new to Medicare, or already have a plan, I'll explain all your Medicare options and extra benefits that you hear so much about. I ensure you're getting all you're entitled to and all that you deserve. Nashua, don't get fooled again this year. Call Perry Cataldo at 603-461-5550. That's 603-461-5550. Or visit me online at cbsnh.com. That's cbsnh.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. I'm Todd McKinley in Northeast Tennessee, joined by my co-host John Grosvenor in the studio, holding it down, and of course, Colonel Chris Wyatt in Central PA. A lot of chatter over here on the chats there. I don't know if anybody wants to take any of those and discuss them, but phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call in, John gave the number there just before the break. If you want to hit it again one more time, John. But before we get to any callers, Colonel, I'd like to get your take on the peace process with Ukraine and Russia right now. If you have a thought in your head on it.
Well, I've said all along that the only way this ends is either Russia annexes the eastern third of Ukraine up to the Dnieper River, or Ukraine agrees to concede into perpetuity the Crimea, which they've lost de facto, and the Donbass, which they've lost in this conflict. Short of that, Putin is not going to give up. And it doesn't look like we're going to get peace until Zelensky gets his arm twisted to do that. People are going to say that's not fair. Well, all is love and fair, and all is fair in love and war. That's the bottom line here. If Zelensky hadn't perturbed Putin, we probably wouldn't be at this stage. So, that doesn't justify what Putin did, but that's just the reality. I get a kick out of people run out and talk about, oh, it's not right. It's not right. Well, I'm sorry. Do you know human beings? Have you ever followed history? Just take a few minutes, crack open Thucydides on the Peloponnesian War, and read the Malian Dialogue. The most famous line in history, in my view, not the history people are doomed to repeat history from what's the name, Descent to Anna, but rather the most famous line in history to me is that the strong will do what they want, and the weak will suffer what they must. So hey,
right, yeah,
sorry,
that's true. Yeah, you can't cry foul, if you're going to be dictated to. It's just the way it's going to be.
You can cry, but it isn't going to change the reality.
Yeah, it's not going to change it. Yeah, it's not going to change the reality. Yeah, you're right.
I think everybody was a kid once when some other kid yanked a toy out of your hand and you yelled, "It's not right. It's right. It's not fair." This is just the same thing on a grander scale. It's
right.
Much grander scale.
Right.
But yeah, life's not fair. Life's really not fair, and you're always going to get bullied and until you stand up for yourself. And that's a lot of what a lot of us been screaming throughout the past, is you got to stand up for yourself, always question authority, always question people's intentions, and be willing to stand up for yourself when necessary. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Chattering on social media is the answer. You get a lot of X spaces and things like that. They talk about the problems and the issues. That's great. Now that's just talk. That's not even planning or strategizing.
Right. I'm gonna look up, see what the death toll there is roughly. Shoot, I can't bring it up readily, but yeah, just seeing how many people have been killed there, thousands of deaths, thousands of injuries, illness
in Ukraine. We're over a million people died in this conflict.
Yeah, just millions of people and thousands of people have been wounded, hundreds of thousands wounded and critically wounded. We're going to be suffering the loss of limb and eyesight the rest of their life, for crying out loud. And of course, all the people that's been displaced, many hundreds of thousands of people displaced in this. It's time to wrap it up at this point, because Ukraine, to me, is only on the losing side. It's just a matter of how much you're going to lose.
Well, Russia's taken its hits too, haven't they? They've had to bring in North Korea because they were losing manpower.
Sure. But at this point, I don't think Russia's going to say, all right, we're going to give it all back to you. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. And of course, Putin, I think, to save face, can't give anything back at this point.
So what are you guys at on this? Do you really think it's right for Russia to have invaded Ukraine? Do you think it's right for them to try to claim portions of Ukraine?
No,
that was wrong. Yeah. But how do we get out of it without a million more people dying? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and people being able to return to some peaceful life at this point,
it sounds cold and heartless, but it's not our problem. It's not our issue. But at the same time, we take it on like it is. Trump said he was going to bring it into it. I once kind of flirted with the idea, why don't we put U.S. troops in Ukraine for rebuilding purposes? And as long as they're there, Russia can't attack, because if they attack us, they got problems. Yeah, I know that sounds bad, because now it sounds like I'm suggesting we should put our own military in harm's way. So
and how much money is it going to cost our taxpayers to do that? You know what I'm saying? The cost of what, trillions of dollars for us to do that?
We've already spent a bunch of money, so you got to figure out
hundreds of billions at this point.
Yeah, you got to figure out something better than throwing good money after bad.
Right.
So there's got to be a better strategy. I don't know if putting our own troops in Ukraine just as a mechanism so they can't attack Ukraine anymore is a good idea because, like I said, they may. And you don't want to put your own troops in harm's way. That's asking for problems.
But are we gonna send them over there for 40 years or more? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, create another 40-year war. That'd be good.
Right.
As if we're not bankrupt enough.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about like post World War II, where we're still there since in most of Europe, or a lot of Europe since post World War II, for good reason in some respects. But are we going to leave them there for 40 years or 50 years in Ukraine? You know what I'm saying? To guarantee that Russia doesn't come back.
Yeah,
well, we're in Japan 70 years after the Second World
Right.
War. We're in Korea 70 years after the Second World War. We're in Germany. We're in Italy. We're in the UK. We are still in a limited number in the Netherlands. I mean, you know, and we've got troops in Turkey too. I mean, yeah, and we used to have troops in Greece, but I mean, we have troops all over the place.
Right.
It's so
we can't spread ourselves too thin. That's part of how Rome fell, isn't it? They tried to conquer the world. They spread themselves too thin, and they started collapsing from within.
Of course, we're in most of those countries not to be there to fight any wars. It's a lot of it for relationship and of course for training purposes. I believe a lot of those, right?
Well, it's for deterrence too. I mean, the purpose
forwardly deployed too. Right?
The purpose in Europe was to deter the Soviets from invading. But I mean, that ended 30 years ago, and we're still there. I'm not arguing against it. As far as I'm concerned, the Europeans are like petulant children. They can't behave themselves. I mean, we have to intervene. Look at that. There's been nothing but conflict in Europe since the end of the Cold War. I mean, look at Bosnia. Look at Kosovo. I mean, look at the nonsense going on in Ukraine, Russia now. It just.
And you got to think Europe. I mean, it's had centuries upon centuries, millennia of fighting over, you know, who gets to control this part of the world or this part of this parcel. Oh, this should be this family or it should be this family. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's enough of it.
Yep.
You know, and we come over to the new world and we want to make a better life for people. And we're certainly not perfect, but we're not fighting over little parcels of the world to being controlled by one family or another. I mean, come on now, we don't do that at least.
So do you think the United Nations is failing in a lot of this? You know, I mean, we've got the Ukraine-Russia issue, but you got a lot of stuff going on in Africa too for inhumanities. You got a lot of stuff going on throughout the globe for inhumanities. Is the United Nations just a failing project?
Well, it depends on what you think of the United Nations. I don't have a high opinion of the United Nations. First off, I don't believe in constructivism, and the United Nations is an example of constructivism, or as people like to call it today, multilateralism. But I don't believe in it. It doesn't work. I mean, you know, so the G20 is a perfect example of that. You guys, I don't know if you're paying attention to that, but the G20 summit just ended in South Africa, and you know, the presidency was in the hands of South Africa, and Cyril Ramaphosa decided he was going to snub Trump, so he thought it'd be clever, and he announced the consensus, because there's always a consensus agreement and statement at the end of the conference, and with 20 countries, it's hard to reach consensus, so it's usually not much to it. But this time, South Africa decided to take the G20, which is a body formed to advance the economic interest of its member states, which represents 75% of gross domestic product, you know, economy on the planet.
Right.
It's meant to advance their interest. But he decided, well, we're making a commitment to debt relief, to forgive the debt of poor countries. And we are going to also talk about the just energy transition here, where these Europeans and Americans give us money so we can, you know, build nuclear power plants and solar panels for ourselves, and you pay for it. Look, they turned this thing into a ridiculous thing. And so Trump didn't go. And so he thought he was clever. And he did a consensus statement declaration before the conference even began. So that's just, you know, that's so.
Yeah.
So my point there is, it is arrogance. My point there is with constructivism, it doesn't work. There was no consensus. You can't have consensus when one person disagrees, let alone two or more. In this case, two didn't agree. Argentina wouldn't sign. The U.S. wasn't there and wouldn't sign either. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. I've never liked constructivism. Of course, if you do graduate studies and you talk about political systems, the international arena, this is one of the theories you talk about. You've got, of course, realism, constructivism. I don't believe in constructivism. It's just you know, the UN doesn't work because there's 190 plus members. You can't reach consensus. Someone's always going to have a complaint. No one's ever going to completely. Look at when Russia invaded Ukraine. 38 countries, I think, abstained or voted against a sanctioning or, you know, calling out Russia for its illegal invasion. It should have been unanimous, except for Russia. Right. So the G7 works much better because it's 7 countries. Much easier to reach consensus with 7. 20 is hard. So
Right. Absolutely. So he thought he was going to call him out. What an idiot. You have no leg to stand on, my friend. You have a tiny fraction of an economy. You're not going to call out the big bad wolf on the block here. I'm sorry.
Well, they sure thought they were.
Yeah. So what is your thoughts about after the G20 or anything constructive come out of it that you saw?
Well, one thing that definitely came out of it, I'll tell you this, is that Trump said South Africa is not invited to next year's conference. He said, you're not welcome in Miami. And then the South Africans doubled down. The South African president went on television and spoke to the nation on Sunday. And it was sad to see. I mean, if you have experience in diplomacy or you're just a person that can walk and chew gum, you'd be like embarrassed by what he did. First off, he says, I want to thank the nation. Everyone did such a great job coming together. This is, proudly South Africa. We showed we're great hosts. I'm sorry, buddy, but that's your job. That's your minimum requirement, is to be a good host.
Right.
Make sure people get from place to place and they're safe and they have a good conference. That's your minimum requirement.
Right.
So that happened. Then, and they said, and people recognize what a great conference he had. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, said, "Thank you for hosting the summit." I mean, yeah, that's just called diplomatic protocol. It wasn't like he praised you with, all kinds of great work.
Thank you.
These people, it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
So, but it gets worse because after he did that, then Trump uninvited him to the meeting in 2 weeks in DC, because they have meetings throughout the year and they're all going to be in the US. So the only thing they weren't invited to was the Leaders Summit next year in Miami. They could have come to all the other meetings, but then he goes, well, we are a full partner and we're a founding member and we are going to come to everything. And I'm thinking, dude, you need a visa to come to America. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of life. And now you're not going to get a visa because you can't keep your mouth shut. Well, they have a meeting on the 15th and 16th December in DC. The Sherpas, that's the senior people who organize everything for the leaders. So the Sherpas meeting is on the 15th and 16th December. And guess who's not invited? 20 countries, 19 invitations went out. Guess who didn't get one? South Africa.
We just
it gets better. It gets better, Todd. So on top of that, the U.S. took over the G20. So what else did they get? They get responsibility for maintaining the website. Guess what they did? Day one, every document, every policy, every plan, every agreement the South Africans worked out during their year under having the presidency, all gone. Nothing on the website. It's completely wiped. If you go to the G20 website, do a search for G20, go to the website, it says, sorry, page not found or something like that with a picture of Miami 2026.
I love it.
And then you go to the G20 reference for the U.S. hosting, and there's a picture of Trump in dark clothes going, the best is yet to come. So, there's a phrase, you mess with the bull, you get the horns, and that's what they've done.
Yeah. So we brought up the UN here, NATO, we brought up the G20, the G7. Which of these organizations is truly beneficial to the United States? Which could we probably do without or kind of shy away from, if you will, do away with?
You mean UN agencies?
What UN, NATO, or G7, G20?
Oh no, NATO doesn't need to go away, but it does need massive reform. It needs massive reform. I would reform it by taking the Europeans out of the loop.
Here, we're going to reform it. You just do what we tell you to do on this.
Exactly. It would be much better run organization.
There you go.
No, I mean, but NATO doesn't need to go away.
Okay.
But there are other things that don't really accomplish a whole lot. But I mean, mostly they're UN organizations that, the WHO has been a problem for years, which is unfortunate. They were never very responsive to the public, and now they're on their back foot because of all the COVID scam stuff. And of course, renaming monkeypox to Mpox.
Mpox, right.
I get a kick out of people. It does. I get a kick out of people who assume things. So they said we couldn't call it monkeypox because it's racist against monkeys.
Yeah,
and because those racists who are liberals who want to change the name, they look at monkeys and they see black people. I don't look at monkeys and see black people. I look at monkeys and see simians who throw their feces at each other. That's what I see.
Yeah, they're smart enough to be able to throw feces. That's what I look at, right?
Yeah, I mean that's not black people. I mean, the fact that they default think that that's a racist statement tells me that they are in their hearts racist. That they see monkeys and they see primates and they see black people. I don't see black people when I see primates. I see primates.
Right.
Well, and some members of the Democratic Party, let's be honest.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I won't say it because they'll say, "Oh, he's just being racist." But yeah. Anyway, like Jasmine Crockett always throwing her feces. Not because she's black, but she seems to throw a lot of feces at people.
Jasmine Crockett is that obnoxious, loudmouth chick at the club when we go to the club. And you're like, it's her again. And nobody wants to go near that.
Some people think just because they're a loudmouth, they're going to get their way.
Oh yeah, that's the way it is in politics now. You look at Republicans. Not every Republican, but a lot of Republicans are taking a playbook or taking a page from the Democrat playbook. Be very loud, obnoxious, and call people names, and level accusations. And by the time they figure out it's false, elections are over. It's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has been a strategy for them for a long time. Lie. They're very good at telling lies.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, remember what's his name there? Let's see the demon rat senator from Nevada, Harry.
Harry Reid. Yeah,
Harry Reid. Remember him? He lied about Mitt Romney by saying, he put his dog on his roof and he killed it because he drove around with the dog strapped to the roof. And people fell for that story. And you know what's really bad about that? Harry Reid, Dingy Harry, and Mitt Romney are both Mormons.
Right.
One Mormon does to another. So, but he right on said that. And after the election was over and he was called on it, he said, but he said, yeah, what's your point? It worked.
Yeah.
That's who they are. That's who the Democrats are. No morals.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you real quick. You weren't on here last week. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning January 5th, I believe is her resignation date. And I don't know if you've been able to talk about it or not, but what are your thoughts about the resignation and what's her future look like, if anything, at all, politically?
Well, I think in Georgia, she has a big future if she wants it. She wants to run it for the Senate. She might be able to win it. If she wants to run for governor, she can win that. But as far as the MAGA movement, I think she's cut her own throat. She already was a person that some of us who are conservatives tolerated barely because she's a grenade pin pulling, throwing into the room and causing chaos and walking in and pretending like she's in charge. Right. She's always a busybody, stuck her nose and everything. And a lot of conservatives get mad when I say this, but you have to be objective. That's who the woman is. That's who she's always been. So, I mean, that's not a statement for or against her. It's a statement of fact. As far as her withdrawing from the race, frankly, after all this verbose, bombastic language the past 6 years, I think she's a coward. I mean, and also, this is ridiculous. The people of her district voted for her to represent them for 2 years. Right. Why are you resigning a year into your term? There's something else going on here. She's either a coward or she's about to take some high-paying job somewhere and she sees the handwriting on the wall because she's like, well, I can't change anything. You've been there for 6 years. Why did you run the second time and the third time and the fourth time for office if you can't change anything? It's ridiculous. I'm not at all impressed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. If that hurts people's feelings and they don't want to listen to me, that's your problem, not my problem. I mean, you can like her. I'm not telling people not to like her, but I'm just telling you, you asked my view, Todd. That's my view. I think it's cowardice, political cowardice.
I would agree with you. And I don't think she's going to be able to do anything outside of, unless she's got running for Senate, lined up because there's 2 Democrat senators. Other than that, I think she's pretty much done for.
I honestly, I wouldn't call her. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but I wouldn't call her. I don't think she's afraid. I don't think she's a coward necessarily. I don't know why she's bowing out a year early. That to me, that's political suicide. That's saying I can't make a commitment. So if you want to come back and run again, or even like you said, in another office, in Senate or in government, governor's office, you're not suitable to win because you didn't fulfill your agreement with the people on the term you agreed to serve. So that within itself is an issue. But she seems to be pretty brave about things. One of her claims is she's tired of the death threats. I don't know where the death threats are coming from, but I know she's been swatted a number of times.
At least 3 or 4 times at her house. Yeah.
Yeah. So people have been after her. She's got a point there, but so did Josh Hawley. And we didn't hear him cry. We didn't hear him back down.
And he's a senator. He also was wrapped up in this fake January 6th stuff. They tried to go after him. He had nothing to do with it because he simply had the temerity to refuse to vote for the results in a couple states because there was questions about him. He followed the Constitution and he became a target. His pregnant wife was 9 months pregnant. These lunatics were in her front yard demonstrating, beating on her door with law enforcement watching this. That's a felony. And they watched it. They didn't do anything about it. And Josh Hawley never complained about that. So my problem with Marjorie Taylor Greene is exactly what you said, death threats. Okay, she's been getting this for 6 years. Nothing is ratcheted up now. Nobody's paying attention to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So something else is going on here, or it's just political cowardice. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, this isn't new. She stands up and tells us she's a warrior. She's going to fight, and she's going to be there and she's going to do this. And she doesn't even finish her term out. If she had terminal cancer or she had some sort of cancer scare or health risk, okay. You get a free pass. I mean, no one should jeopardize their health. But you stood up to run for office. You ran your mouth. You attacked people. You drew a lot of disfavor on the Republican Party and conservatives in particular with your actions. And now you're going to walk away without finishing your time in office. I'm sorry. That's just, I'm not buying it. There's something else going on here.
You alluded to the fact that she might be taking a job in the private sector or finding a career in the private sector somewhere. And she spent some time on The View. She spent some time kind of buddying up to some Democrats. Do you think that's actually an option she might take? She may actually show up on The View as their opposition to create dialogue and try to revive the show.
I would be shocked if she wound up on The View, but I wouldn't be shocked if she wound up on MSNBC. Wouldn't be shocked if she wound up on Fox. But I mean, I don't think Fox wants her. But
I don't think
definitely
Fox would.
MSNBC would take her.
Yeah. Probably pay her $500,000, to kind of pop on there ever so often to just blah 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 blah, run her mouth.
Well, she doesn't need money. She's a trust fund baby. She inherited daddy's business. She's worth millions because of that. So, I don't think that's an issue, the money, but she wants to be relevant. And to me, she's made herself irrelevant. She finished her term and left. I would have had a lot of respect for her, but I don't have respect for this nonsense. This is just
that I absolutely agree with. That's, to me, you finished that commitment.
Unless there's a legitimate reason, you can't. Your child got hit in a car accident. They need 24-hour care. You need to be there for your child. You can't be in Congress. I get it, but that's none of that's in play here. It's all very cryptic, and it really looks to me like somebody whose feelings are hurt because she's no longer in ascendancy. She's no longer the favored child because Trump is angry at her because she's acting like a fool in his view. And so she's no longer favored. So she's going to take her toys and throw them out of the pram. And that's what she's doing. And that's why I have no respect for it. She's like a petulant child. I'm no longer the favorite baby. And she throws the toys out. I mean, come on.
Well, Trump admitted she had his phone number, his personal phone number.
Yes.
She called him relentlessly, which is kind of an indication that she was probably hounding him, trying to manipulate or influence him to do things that she thought he should be doing instead of allowing him to do his job.
Well, and also
that was kind of out there.
I mean, look, I haven't said this before about her, but at times she acts like, I'm the star of the show.
Right.
You're just a representative. There's 434 other ones out there. If you're a senator, you can be a little more cocky, and demand attention. But this constant me. Hey, over here. Look, it's very off-putting. And if that hurts people's feelings, hey, I'm sorry about it.
Do you think there may be somebody has a lot of dirt on her and she's like, you know what, I got to step back and
that's supposition. I don't know that she's a bad person or she's done anything wrong. I don't know, but people were making that supposition. But I just think that there's something more here going on than we know, and I think it probably just boils down to what I just said. She didn't get her way. Yeah, I'm leaving.
Right.
Well, she did want a Senate seat. She wanted to move up to the Senate, and she
didn't get party support. No.
Well, she wanted to, but the party's not supporting her, and Trump's not supporting her. Trump flat out told her, "You don't qualify. You're not going to win the Senate seat." And it's kind of true. She's a little polarized here. Like I said earlier, she's never constituency in the House. You got a smaller people to gain favor. But when you're trying to gain favor of a whole state, it's kind of you're putting a lot out there, and you're asking a lot. And somebody like her, she's not in that position to ask that.
She will be a candidate that can't draw more than 2% of the black vote. That's a problem in Georgia.
Right. That's big time in Georgia. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying that because of who she is, whether it's fair or true or not, that's just the reality. She is,
it's not just the black vote. There's probably a lot of moderates that find her too far
right.
and they're not going to go for her.
But moderates, the black vote is a clear, distinct block of people who can count on a certain percentage of vote. So you can basically kiss 98% of whatever percentage black folks vote of the total vote, and that's already putting you at a major disadvantage.
Large number of black votes who are vote Republican in Georgia for sure.
But not enough to make up for that.
Not enough, but enough that can make a difference if you're in a tight race for a nomination or something.
It's look, losing the black vote in Georgia, or getting such a small percentage of it, is enough for her not to be a viable candidate for the Senate. And I mean, if she lived in Louisiana or in South Carolina, it would be a non-starter. But in Georgia, it's tough. I mean, the population of South Carolina is like 40-some% black. Last time I checked, I have to double check, but the point is that no, she's not electable, at least at the moment, because she's been a bomb thrower and she's pissed people off, and a lot of people look at her and see her unfairly as a racist and a bigot. I don't think she is, but that's how she's seen, and she has to overcome it.
I see her as a big bomb thrower and really somebody who hasn't accomplished much, but she'll point out your faults for sure.
She said that.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things she said.
And she didn't get support.
And
but
that's a fair statement.
I think Chris is hitting the nail on the head pretty much with the emotional outrage. I think she just got angry. She felt outrage and she didn't get the support she felt like she deserved. And this is the result. I think that's where you hit the nail on the head, Chris.
No, I mean, look, I didn't stop being an officer because Clinton became president, even though I vomited at the thought of it, and I was right about his presidency. I didn't quit being president because Barack Obama became president. No, I didn't quit becoming president. I mean, I still fulfilled my duty. I honor my oath, I put my
officer. Yeah.
What did I say?
You said I didn't quit being president.
Oh, it was that? Wow. Okay, I got some big dreams there. Sorry. Yeah.
Was that a Freudian slip?
Let it out. It must have been president of my local 4-H club. That's what I was talking about. But no, I didn't quit being an officer. I didn't resign and walk away. I did my duty. As long as the orders were lawful, I followed them, and I grinned and bared it. I wasn't the favorite toy at times. I saw people who were empty vessels who just looked a certain way, or people liked them because they were passive or they had a gift of gab, and not in my case, not competitors, but I saw people getting promoted up place. I'm like, whatever. I'm not worried about that. I'm not here for that. I'm here to do the best job I can. And it seems to me like her feelings are hurt, and this is an emotional response, and I have no respect for that. This is the lesson I try to tell to people, and she's not going to listen to me. She's a multimillionaire. She's a member of the House of Representatives. But if you're pissed off, write an email. Say what you want to say, save the draft, come back the next day. Ooh, it's a good thing I didn't send that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've done that before where you want to say something. I've sent a couple emails before where I probably shouldn't have to a senior, even though I was right in the matter. I probably
doesn't matter. Your approach was wrong. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Should have worded it different. But I had people that were either at their equal rank or higher that defended me in the moment, and we worked it out, but it was probably I shouldn't have said it that way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I've in fact, I sit here now and I'm down to just 5 drafts in my personal email account. I had 42 a couple of days ago.
Oh, baby. So did you send all over or did you delete all
No, I pretty much deleted all of those. And some of them go back a couple of years. But my point is that even on my personal account, a lot of times, I hold back because, that stuff lasts forever. Once you send it, it's on a server and it can come back to haunt you. And it's the same thing here. What she's done is made a lot of people angry. I mean, I don't trust her. I mean, I was already on the fence about her because of her behavior. I thought some of the stuff she did was great and fantastic, and I appreciate it. But I mean, I think a lot of people aren't going to trust her now.
She didn't show a whole lot for restraint. She'd use F-bombs on national television and think nothing of it.
Right.
So Holden, I'm not sure the relevance of this question, but Holden is asking where McCain's daughter, and I assume he's asking about Meghan McCain.
Meghan
wondering
McCain.
Where her daughter ended up. Maybe I'm thinking he thinks but he's not from. She's not from Georgia, so.
No, she's from Arizona, but I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, she was on The View for a while, right? And I don't know what happened to her. I think she got married, had kids, maybe, and then
did the
I don't know the
View.
full. I don't know what her story is. I'll be honest with you, but she was somebody who got somewhere because of nepotism, basically, because of her name,
Correct.
basically.
Correct.
I'm not saying she couldn't do the job that she was hired to do, but the doors were open because of who she was a daughter of, for sure.
Well, she made contacts and stuff too, right? She worked her father's campaign and made.
Well, yeah,
contacts.
well, I'm saying a lot of these people, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders out of Arkansas, the governor. I'm not saying she's not a good governor or a good candidate or wasn't good at press secretary, but these doors open because of the relationship.
Name.
Because of, name.
Yeah.
So let's be clear on that.
Name recognition.
Sometimes that relationship will get you there.
Oh, absolutely. But I find it disgusting the way people just roll out the red carpet for them. It's like, oh, so-and-so's son or daughter's going to be here. We have to, let's vote for them because they're running for this office. It's like, what set them up to be able to get to that point? And people just roll over and love it. They just, because people love royalty, even though we talk about, we got away from a king, King George III, but people love royalty. People love, the Hollywood royalty, political royalty, and they vote for it too. It's sad.
Yeah,
in
you're right.
droves.
So somebody put in a post earlier that Chris should apply for Secretary of Defense or something like that. I think that's what they were saying because Hegseth has gotten a little bit underwater with some of the things going on. But these guys make political promises, right? When they're campaigning, they have people that are being put in there because they're suggested to them. Somebody like Chris, who's not connected to them, doesn't qualify for the job, not because he's not qualified to do the job. It's just simply because he doesn't have the content.
You're not on the inside of the clique, and at the same time would probably do the job to the letter versus, shying away when it comes to politics. I think you'd make a decision based on the facts, not on a political decision, is what I'm trying to say. You make a yes or no decision, not well, it's going to look bad on the president, so I won't make the decision. That's the way we would look at it, I think, and that's the way the colonel, I believe, if you were ever prompted to join the administration in such a position, you probably wouldn't last long because you'd probably be like, "I'm sorry, Mr. President, I'm not going to make a decision."
No, I'd be fine. I know when it's the right time to do that, and I never tell the emperor he's not wearing clothes in front of a crowd. You do that in private.
Oh, sure,
if you have that
private,
ability.
yeah.
No, I think I would last. I think I'd be fine. But yeah, it's I'm not a yes man. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, you know how to say no, at least tactfully, right?
Yeah, I think that's just. I mean, that stuff is just. Being a yes man is counterindicative of what you're supposed to be doing, and it's moral cowardice in my book. So
yeah, it's not productive for sure.
Yeah, I'm reading up on Marjorie Taylor Greene here real quick, and the sentence that introduces on her Wikipedia page. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, is an American politician, businesswoman, and conspiracy theorist. That's the first sentence right there. Oh wow, that's not a good thing to have that in your first sentence of your introduction, right?
No, it's not.
But
I mean, it doesn't matter what she says. They'll. I mean, yeah, she embraces it. I mean, good for her. People are going to call you that. Go ahead and turn it back on them. Yeah, go ahead, call me that.
Yeah, I mean, but she's embraced so many of these conspiracy theorists since she's going back to when she ran initially. None of them have actually come to fruition or been proven true for the most part, from what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, she's definitely said some out of there stuff. So, that's another thing to consider. She said some really wild statements out there. But anyway.
Well, is that a reflection upon her constituency? I mean, is she actually listening to her constituency and they're kind of leading her into these conspiracy theories?
She's leading people into conspiracy theories.
You think she's the culprit, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what they've been saying, though? These conspiracy theories are only conspiracy theories until they're proven just to be conspiracies.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point, man.
Right. Well, some of that voting that went on, we're still talking about 2020, and a lot of us aren't convinced otherwise. And we know COVID. A lot of those conspiracy theories have turned out to be true.
Well, they weren't conspiracy theories. I was using data to refute the COVID as it was going on, but unfortunately, getting censored. So I mean, it was only a conspiracy theory in many respects because people couldn't get to the truth.
It was labeled conspiracy theory by those in charge on the left. And
funny how that works.
It was an actual conspiracy that people were just commenting on, really, from what I take of it. It was an ongoing conspiracy. I mean, to defraud people of money, to lie to people, to control them. Also, there was a presidential election year that we had to control as well, right? Or they had to control, I should say.
Yeah, and they did a good job.
Right? Whether or not
when they do a good job, they do a good job. They may be scumbags for it, but they did a good job.
Whether or not votes were planted or something like that, or elections were rigged on a whole, that kept a lot of people at home, for crying out loud. It really did. It changed the dynamic.
A lot of people refer to that as a test on the people, and I really liked that post when it came out about how you behaved during the COVID epidemic. That's who you are. You need to take note on that. That's exactly who you are.
If you immediately started calling people out on masking and 6 feet separation and all this stuff, if you went out immediately started trying to buy a bunch of gas and toilet paper and all this stuff, first off, you're not prepared. And going out and buying a mad dash to the grocery store or the gas station, buying a bunch of gas isn't going to make you prepared for what's going to come if there's an apocalyptic moment, for crying out loud. I mean, it just is not going to happen. But so you're right. The way you acted is exactly who you are.
Yeah. That's a fact. I mean, and the way the people acted was reprehensible. I mean, calling people out, screaming at them, Narcan people, and then law enforcement enforcing illegal actions like shutting down worship services.
Right.
Under,
And going
because
along
the, because the government knows better. Why would anybody trust the government after all the stuff that's gone down in COVID in the past 5 years? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. These guys, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just absolutely insane what they've gotten away with here. They kill people. They kill people with their fake information and their lies. And they got away with it.
Wait a
and
minute,
no
but
one's
that's
being
what
prosecuted.
we did. That's what they told us we did.
Well, they were liars.
Yeah,
Some of
they're
us
liars.
understand epidemiology and infectious diseases. Some of us have spent decades researching and being involved in that. And to listen to these idiots try to tell me that they knew what they're talking about, it's just obnoxious and it's so disconcerting.
Right.
But you know what? They'll get theirs. They're not going to get admitted to heaven because they're all evil.
Yeah, evil. Yeah, absolutely. And the alternative for the mayoral race there in New York was the disgraced governor Cuomo, who got ousted for all the sexual assault and the gropiness of him, and of course the number of people he got killed during COVID. He was the only alternative for the mayoral race, for crying out loud. Come on now.
Yeah, well, no, he wasn't the only alternative.
No, I'm saying, but he, when it came down to it, I mean, Slewell wasn't going to get it. I mean, so he's essentially the only alternative. I mean, a disgraced former governor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the only alternative to vote
So,
for.
so you're
It
saying
just tells you
people,
it's the best they can put up.
yeah,
Right.
they pretty much handed it to a socialist.
Right. Dangerous. But he had a nice meeting, I guess. Mom Donnie had a nice meeting at the White House, last week or whatever it was. And President Trump, he didn't really brace him too much in front of the press. You know?
Well, I think a lot of us were disappointed in President Trump because we knew but I understand he's being pragmatic. I get that. But the first chance he got, that scumbag went back and dumped all over Trump. So
Of course he did. And he knew it was going to happen. I mean, he wasn't going to do it in the Oval Office standing right beside the guy. But it's funny, those press conferences where he makes them stand beside him and he sits down. That's a power move.
Oh, that's definitely a power move. Yeah.
That's a power move. And he does photo ops with people in the Oval Office. He doesn't stand in front of the Oval Office beside people. He sits at the desk. That's a power mover in a big way.
Trump understands that. That's kind of like when you see him do photo ops, he'll make sure he's in center. He actually, remember that one time when he put his hand on that guy's chest and squeezed between everybody to position himself for the photograph right in the center. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're talking about whenever we do world leader photos, we call it a family photo. And I've had to help organize those things before. And I can guarantee you there was probably a mark right in the middle that for President Trump, and that guy probably stood on it thinking he's not going to move me out of the way. He did. Absolutely did.
Yeah, he will do that. He has
absolutely did.
No inhibitions about that at all whatsoever.
Right. He's
the other thing was debates. When he was debating, like say Hillary, that was pointed out. He was on her. He hovered her. Yeah. Power
right.
move.
You'd be in jail.
He was bulldogging her. He's like, yeah. No, I'm going to show people I'm a lot stronger than you are.
Well, it's a lot easier to be able to do those power moves when you tower over everybody like he and I do. We're both tall. So, I mean, these people that aren't tall, they have a disadvantage.
So I'll drink of water. Yeah. Well, Al Gore tried to do it against George W. Bush, and George W. just stopped and looked at him and kind of did like a little, like, what do you want? He kept talking.
Kind of nudged him.
And Al Gore looked like an idiot, a twit. Al Gore had to go back to the other side of the stage because he looked like a twit.
He generally looks like a twit. So, I mean.
How dare you, the father of the internet? Come on.
I guess I'm just a meanie.
No. There we go. So yeah, Marjorie Taylor, I'm going to read up on her and how she got her money for sure. But Erica
from her dad. I mean, she inherited his business.
Erica Kirk is showing some grace. She rejected the argument that gun violence was the root problem that led to husband's assassination. The Turning Point USA CEO was the final guest speaker at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, and she. A lot of grace right there, and rejected that outright, which they were angling for her to kind of agree with her about gun violence and all this stuff. She rejected it. And I think that showed a lot of character on her part for sure.
Yeah. So she gets a lot of grief. People come after her and I'm like,
yeah. Her husband was assassinated right in front of everybody, on TV. I mean, you can't.
Well, but they came out with these conspiracy theories that she was behind all this stuff. I mean, it's just
right.
People are sick, They really need to get their heads checked. Some of these people, anyway.
Scrolling down on social media just in the days after that, people that I defriended several people. It's like people. Oh, look at this. He knew it was coming. See, look at where he looked. He knew he was going to be shot. Like, oh, look at this security guy. He put something in his pocket. That's a signal. It's like. A law enforcement officer came up and gave him a challenge coin. One of the guys to Charlie Kirk's left, and put it in his pocket. It's clear as day. And I said on social media what it was, and somebody tried to refute that. No, that's not what it was. That was the signal. I'm like, putting something in your pocket that's clearly a challenge coin from law enforcement is not a signal from anything.
Also, if you work in a security detail, and if you are using signals, it doesn't mean you're just signaling nefarious things, right?
Exactly. I mean, because you got to think you have radios, and of course, sometimes if there's a lot of people, sometimes radio traffic, if it's just point to point, doesn't get through. Sometimes you have to use some hand signals, visual signals. That happens. Trust me, that happens. And they weren't signaling anybody to shoot, for crying out loud. It's so sick, though. So
there were some things though. They were talking about them tearing down the set and stuff right after it happened. I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't sound normal. You don't
crime
scene.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they really did that or if that's just something, because anybody can take video footage and throw things together to make it look like something.
Well, I think the FBI took control of the crime scene. I think local law enforcement locked it down immediately. I don't think nobody was tearing it down right after the fact. Come on.
Yeah.
It was days after they turned the scene over. The company that was tasked with setting all that up was tearing it down, and they were doing cleaning and stuff as they were putting stuff away, as you would probably do anyway. You think about this: you go to somebody's house where they've committed suicide, somebody's got to clean that, right? I mean, so generally that's what they were doing. They were cleaning up after the fact, and they were trying to lie and say immediately after the assassination they were getting rid of evidence. It's like, that's 3 or 4 days later you're taking this picture. Come on.
That's what I figured of it.
Right.
Somebody is just piecing it together and they're trying to make it look like something it's not. You can't trust anything you see on social media. You really got to question it all the time, because people have their own agendas, their own stupid little whatever.
Sometimes people's bona fides are, well, I was in the Army for 3 years ago, 1970s, so I know about guns and ballistics. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
I shot a gun once, so I know all about them.
I know all about it. It wouldn't have done this, so they had to come from this area over here, or his security guard shot him. I'm like, come on. It's like saying the Secret Service agent in the front seat driving Kennedy's limo shot him. I'm like, come on. People think that.
So was there any proof? Or I think there was, because I think he was wearing. Didn't he have a safety vest on? A bulletproof vest?
I think he had a vest on, and I imagine anybody in a situation like that would have some sort of vest, whether it was a bulletproof or stab vest. It could have been a stab vest as he shakes hands, keep somebody from stabbing in it.
It definitely was a high-powered rifle, and he so the theory was that it hit him in the vest. It didn't hit him in the neck.
Very possible,
and then come up into his neck. And
possible.
That made more sense to me when I heard that because. According to from my understanding of the coroner's report, he didn't understand why the bullet didn't have an exit wound. Well, if it hit him in the chest first, it deflected a lot of the power.
Right, a lot of the energy. So
it
didn't have any escape velocity after it hit his soft tissue. So
so that made sense to me. Once I saw that, I'm like, that brings it all together.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. And of course, where he was shot, there was no saving him at that point. He was dead within seconds, probably.
Well, yeah, you get hit in the jugular like that and you're bleeding out like that. It's a matter of 60 seconds to 120 seconds. You're going to lose too much.
Right.
Same thing like femoral artery and various other places.
Right. Absolutely.
Unless it gets tied off. I mean, that wasn't happening in that case.
No, there was no way. Yeah, no way for sure. But yeah, again, his wife, widowed, showing some grace, for crying out loud. I mean, that's unbelievable. Anyway, we got about 10 minutes left here.
10 minutes.
10 minutes here, folks.
You know, Todd, that gives us enough time to talk about Trump wanting to get rid of federal income tax.
Well, let's go ahead and bring that up.
Oh,
John.
and how about our tariff bonus?
Oh yeah, tell me more.
Exactly. This is like an episode of Grease, man. Tell me more.
Well, I've always been for getting rid of the federal income tax. You guys know that. I mean, Chris and I debated that back and forth a couple of times. So I was kind of curious how Chris might feel about it now. If you feel a sense of change with the tariffs kind of proving themselves and the possibility of getting rid of federal income tax. But I'm also curious about, do you think it's appropriate running such a national debt that we need to take care of our responsibilities first?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, I'm all in favor of no income tax. The income tax is what's led the government become a leviathan that's out of control. I mean, the imposition of the 16th Amendment is an abomination. It goes against everything the founders believed in. So I have no problem with it. But from a practical standpoint, we can't do it. We can't do it. The income tax brings in, I think, what, $2.6 trillion of the money we spend. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 2.9 now, but nothing comes close to that. And the tariffs aren't going to come close to that. I mean, they brought in like 300 million or billion extra. Ooh, that's great. It's a start, but they got a long way to go before they can replace the income tax. So it's not a practical thing in the near term. Maybe if the government got in order and down the road many years from now, but no. And as far as the bonus, free money's nice, but I'd rather see the debt paid down. I'd rather see the government balance its budget rather than give us money. We've already seen this before. They tried to juice it during COVID with these payments, and all it did was screw things up. So I would much rather see that. That would strengthen the dollar, and strengthen the dollar would make us all healthier and wealthier. That's much better for us rather than give people $2,000 to blow on, a trip to Vegas or something like that, or paying down their mortgage. So I don't agree with that. But getting rid of the income tax, I'm all in favor of that. Frank, I'm also all in favor of a flat tax, 10%. Boom. Problem solved. Everybody, billionaires pay 10%. Yeah, we pay 10%. Everyone should pay 10%. Down at certain thresholds. If you're below the poverty line, you don't pay taxes.
Right. I agree with you. And would that replace what we're already paying, or would that increase? What would it look like?
Well, flat tax would replace the income tax. There'd be none of this garbage. It's called progressive for a reason, which is
I'm saying would that bring in more or the same amount of money that we're currently bringing in? Or
I haven't done the math in a while, but so I'd have to look. I think there's something like there's 178 million or 80 million people in the workforce who would be eligible to pay that before you start exempting people based on poverty level. But that's not all income earners. There's people who have passive income, and you could tax that 10%. So there's retirees you could take 10% from, and people who just wealthy and don't do anything, so they have passive income. So I don't know the total number, but let's say it's 200 million people. We'd have to look at that, I think that, I did the math years ago, but things have changed a lot since then.
Right. Of course.
But the bottom line is this: the government shouldn't be taking more than 10% of your total income, but they already tax us. Okay. First off, you work for a company. They take tax from that company for making a profit. And then if that company pays dividends to the shareholders, you have to be a shareholder, you pay tax on the dividends.
Right.
Okay. And then you get your income, you pay tax on that from the revenue that the company generated, who's already paid tax on their business. And then they charge you Social Security, and they charge your employer half your Social Security. And then you buy things. Now, fortunately, there's no national value added tax, so this would be even worse, but there is taxes. There are excise taxes on your cable, on your telephone bill. My darn cable bill is $302 a month, and only $189 of that is for the cable company. The rest is all these ridiculous fees. I'm paying for phones to give to drug dealers and prostitutes through the federal program where they give free telephones out to people. Right. They don't even have to prove they need it. It's so there's a lot of money that comes in the government, and if you trim the amount of money they have to live within the budget, and they have to sacrifice the things like the National Endowment for the Humanities and financing Robert Mapplethorpe to make insulting images of Christ and offending millions of Christians. We don't need that. That can go away.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You fund a lot of these nice little projects that people love to throw out there. All the writers that members of Congress throw on all these bills that are going to get passed, to bring in, I guess, bring on pork from their home districts and home states, get rid of stuff like that as well. I'd love to see the president have a line item veto on a lot of these things, especially whenever it comes to spending. Balanced budget is needed for sure.
I'm with you on that one. I got no problem with that.
So, that's what we need. We need Congress to get its act together and get us a balanced budget. We need some sort of plan to get us out of this debt. I mean, if we're we pretty much put our country at risk with debt. And basically the only thing saving us right now is the fact that the dollar can't be replaced with anything else on the globe. If it could, we'd be underwater. We'd be in terrible trouble.
You're correct, because we have not seniority, but seniority, in which because the dollar is the global currency, we accrue benefits, such as everyone prices oil in dollars. Right. They don't price it in other currencies, so we get over big time, because other countries have to deal with the swings in the cost of oil because of currency fluctuations, and so it gets more expensive for currency, and the price goes up. We only have to deal with the price going up or down. That's it
for sure. Yeah,
huge advantage for us because our currency is global currency, and most people don't realize that. But I know that it's a huge advantage, and I'm glad we have it. But other countries don't get that advantage; they have to deal with the price swings and the currency fluctuations. So it's very fortunate. If we didn't have that advantage, we'd really be screwed. we'd be hit with a double whammy every time the things went against us. But right now, it's just one thing that comes at us. So,
Yeah.
But people don't realize that. They don't think about that stuff. So.
Yeah, I remember like traveling to the Middle East and places like that. Whenever you go to like to the little souks or the shops or whatever, and it's like they ask if you're paying in dollars or whatever because the price changes depending on what you're using.
Yeah,
and if you use American dollars, you usually can get over pretty well. And you leave with a nice haul. Of course, they leave with a lot of money. Compared to what their local currency usually is.
Yep. So, gosh, John, when do we debate income tax? I've never been opposed to.
Oh God, that was years ago when we first started this.
I've
We were
never been-
arguing about whether we should have income tax or not have income tax. I brought up the idea about a national sales tax to replace income tax.
Oh no, I'm against that. I'm against that.
Yeah,
And
that's what it was. You
talking
were for
about
the
we were
sales
talking about
tax,
variable
but-
different things, and I think
Okay.
your stance on it was you would rather because because you got two types of taxes, right? You got direct tax and indirect tax. So your income tax is a direct tax. Your indirect tax would be the corporate taxes. The taxes that corporations pay get passed on to consumers.
Yeah.
So when you purchase
There's
things,
no
you're
free
paying their
lunch.
taxes. So you're getting a double whammy here. So I've always had an issue with the idea of income tax. I think it's an unnecessary burden among people. Let's adjust in the corporate tax, and we'll pay our taxes in consumption. And the problem with that is you can save money that way, because if you tighten your belt and you decide, hey, I want to buy a house, you don't spend so much because you want to buy a house. You want to put your money towards that. Therefore, the government takes the hit, so they want to keep the direct tax. So we've had that kind of argument back and forth, and you were for cutting corporate taxes as opposed to income tax, where I'm more in favor of cutting income tax, or have been.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
There we go, folks. Yeah, the last couple minutes here, folks. You've been listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. We make sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day. The Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality with hosts Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Grosvenor, folks. We love having you here. Of course, if you're listening to us anywhere, wsmn.live, or anywhere we stream this show, we really appreciate you, especially our South African audience for sure, with Colonel Chris Wyatt bringing that on for sure. But anyway, last couple minutes here. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we close up the show today?
Well, I'm looking forward to see how this immigration thing goes, and people's heads exploding. By the way, I received an update while we're sitting here from a South African refugee, and I have an image of them over the South Atlantic winging their way to Atlanta.
There you go. Good. There we go.
Obviously, he's taking advantage of the Wi-Fi in flight.
Good. Well, shoot, what I would like to have, maybe if we could, maybe you could arrange somebody to come on as a guest and discuss maybe their experience with the process and everything like that,
Well, I don't know if that's of interest to a lot of people, but we can do that. I'm sure.
Good. I think it'd be all right. At least a short 10, 15 minute call in.
I did get Willem onto Billy's program, Billy Painter's program, because he asked me, they live in the same town. They only live like 5 minutes from each other. They didn't even know that.
That's wild.
So I put them in contact, and they've met and hung out, and he did it on his program. Speaking of which, John, I got to fill in for you last night on the Patriot Confederation there, and it was a very fortuitous night. It was my one free night, and Billy called me, and he needed help. So I said, okay, fine, I'll pitch in. But it was very rewarding because the father of DJ Daniel was the guest, and fantastic talking about it. That's a little kid who was given honorary Secret Service credentials at the State of the Nation address, or State of the Union address, that whatever it was that Trump did, the presentation to Congress, when the Democrats sat on their hands for a 13-year-old cancer survivor. They're just such evil reprobates.
Yeah, that was a good show. I was listening to it as I was plowing snow in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Is that
so?
What you were doing? Okay.
I really enjoyed listening to the show.
Emergency,
Unfortunately, I got called into work, so I couldn't. So Chris covered, and thank you for that, Chris.
So for you folks down in Lowell, Mass, you had clean streets because of John.
Well, I was doing my due diligence.
There you go.
Only because I was getting paid, unfortunately.
It wasn't out of the goodness of your heart.
Money. We need somebody to clear our snow. Can you make it over this way? Central PA.
It's a long trip. I don't know.
I can't cover your gas.
Folks, that's it. We'll be back next week right here on WSM at 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. Until then, take care and God bless.